Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing great. Now, you may have heard me talk on this channel about growing your own corn or corn growing. This is a concept that was taught to me by grandfather Whitebear, my dad, when I was growing up. When you're a teenager especially, it's really hard to kind of navigate your way socially. And obviously you're going to do what you can to minimize the impact of embarrassment or putting yourself on the spot in a really negative way. So to have had this concept taught to me by grandfather Whitebear really did help to assist me through those very difficult periods of my life and the milestones. So what is corn growing? Because it sounds like a really odd concept. I'll let Bear briefly explain to you what that is.
Growing corn, not the kind in the garden. Growing corn to grow you. I learned this concept from a couple of people. Thomas Binyaka from the Hopi people, and Uncle Billy Mesa of Kuya Lasinu, that I actually got to spend a great deal of time with. But all my other teachers and all of the elders and spiritual people that I get to spend time with, they all talk about the concept of growing corn. Now, corn is one of the 4 sacred crops of Native America. So when I first started hearing this, I understood that it was quite an important thing, but I didn't understand what it is. There's things in your life. Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, people, places, things, stuff. If it's not growing your corn, if it's not helping you grow, if it's not helping you evolve to become a better person, you don't need it.
So basically, the things that happen in our life are either going to negatively or positively impact us. And it's up to us to choose which serves us in our life. Obviously, it's very difficult to be able to let go of certain things when you feel really stuck in life, or even simply changing your mindset is an incredibly difficult task. But there, of course, lies the famous Buddhist quote: holding on to anger is like poisoning yourself and hoping someone else will die. Our thoughts and beliefs can be like poison if it negatively affects us. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the things that INFPs should let go, the things that don't grow our corn. This one is letting go of outcome, and this one probably impacts me personally the most. As quite an analytical person, I spend a lot of time thinking, contemplating, and experiencing anxiety. Yeah, I do often feel that I just want life to go a certain way, or I want to see results in a certain way. And sometimes when I feel like I can't control it, it does bring me a lot of anxiety. And I'm sure many of you guys can relate. The issue is that we have no control over anything. We might think that we do. We may act in certain ways where we feel like we can control the outcome. And obviously, when you do take an action, there is cause and effect. There's consequence to your actions. But ultimately, the future is not set in stone. Needing to control an outcome is incredibly exhausting. And I'm saying this from experience. And I do find that once I let that go and just let the universe take it where it needs to go, then I do feel a lot better. And I go through phases where I'm much better at practicing that. There has been so many moments in my life where things may have not worked out the way that I wanted them to, and then I wound up creating this self-fulfilling prophecy, or this positive feedback loop, where every time I would put myself into a situation again, I would start kind of fretting because I would really badly want a situation to work out in a particular way. Take, for instance, COVID. The whole world was not expecting this virus to spread and for us to, well, at least most of us, to lock down. I think for many of us, we just want this whole thing to be over. And it is a scary thought not knowing how this is going to be progressing. The only thing that you can really control in your life is how you respond to things. You're never going to be able to control what happens outside of yourself. Once you start mastering how you feel, how you respond, that's where you really start sucking that poison out. Whatever happens on the outside won't have so much of an impact on you. So let me know in the comments if there's any certain outcome that you wish you could control, if there's anything in your life that's really bugging you. Isn't this one just lovely? I know that most of you guys are perfectionists. You probably have imposter syndrome. You probably procrastinate because you want to be able to get it right in the first go. Most of you probably overthink how you interact within social situations. I know that I do. In fact, it can get so bad that sometimes I do avoid social interaction. Sometimes it's just absolutely exhausting trying to deal with acting a certain way, and it's not like I wind up becoming this total different person, but it just means that I kind of have to mask a little bit in terms of pretending to be confident. Sometimes I have to ask myself whether I'm saying the wrong thing or whether I'm making myself look weird. I have this issue really bad when it comes to performing as well. I really struggle to sing in front of people, and that is partially to do with when I was a high school student. When I did music at high school, and I was in a band with some of the classmates as part of our assessments. The kids that I was in a band with, they just weren't really nice to me, and they actually really crushed my confidence when it came to performing. And then there was a scenario where I performed Me and My Bobby McGee in a bar, and I forgot the lyrics. It was incredibly embarrassing, especially as an introvert kind of standing there, being in the spotlight and choking. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it's in those moments that create this kind of imposter syndrome. It creates this notion of wanting to be perfect, of wanting to get it right the first time. And it's taxing. It is incredibly exhausting to feel that way. One thing I know about this though is that no one actually really cares. No one cares about what you do, which is kind of like a good and a bad thing, I suppose. But when you think that you're making a fool out of yourself, more likely than not, people just don't really notice. People are more worried about what they're doing and how they're coming across. I mean, yeah, sure, if you do something really embarrassing like choke on stage, people are going to notice. But this is not something that people will carry with them forever. You're not that important. I'm sorry. Sometimes this aspect of wanting to be perfect, perfectionism, can be a result of certain kinds of trauma. For me, when I was growing up, having ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD, made it really hard for me to be able to complete tasks in the way that my neurotypical peers did. In other situations, I was really good, like drawing. I was the class drawer. Everyone asked me to draw shit for them. But wanting to live up to these certain standards and having difficulty in doing so does really create, again, that kind of positive feedback loop where you start assuming certain things of yourself. It can be really damaging and like poison. And it's something that is not worth carrying in your life. Obviously, you're not just going to let it go. I get that. But it's something to think about. It is something to reflect on. There are many little sayings floating around the internet about INFPs, one of those being INFPs are soldiers in the trenches of the human condition. Another one is that INFPs are the champion of the cause. And of course, this has a lot to do with our introverted feeling. If there are certain things that we value and those values get trodden on, yeah, it's gonna really rock our boat. This is especially true being online. Everyone tends to have an opinion, and everyone likes to broadcast those opinions everywhere. This can mean that it could easily step on that INFP's toes. I have been there. Let's just put it this way. You're not going to change anyone's mind by typing angrily in the comments. It can be really hard when you feel so powerless. It's not like you can just get out there and wave a magic wand and change everything. But again, if you watch my Utopia video, you'll know that that's probably not the best thing either. As I stated in the last video, Bear had wanted to save the trees when he was a young fella. He was a little bit of an environmental activist, and his elders used to tease him about it. And it wasn't until one day when he said that he didn't save the planet, but he was able to save himself. And that is exactly my point. It goes back to the letting go of outcome. When you can just focus on yourself and focus on being the best version of yourself, you're doing something for the world. The lucky last one, letting go of relationships which don't serve you. I'm really good at doing this. See, I'm a little bit of a strange INFP. I'm not the highest in agreeableness, so when I'm interacting with people whom I don't really mesh well with, I'm not really going to bother pursuing relationships. Honestly, this has a lot to do as well with when I was growing up. I found it difficult to make friends and I was bullied. So as a result, I kind of learned a self-defense mechanism where I wouldn't just trust anyone. Like, I don't trust people all that much. It takes very special people for me to actually be able to open up. It probably says a lot more about me than it does about anyone else. However, I know for many of you guys out there, you probably have relationships which don't serve you, that you do cling on to. And there are a variety of reasons why this might happen. One of those, on the more extreme scale, is that you may have relationships with narcissists or people who keep you in that relationship because they're manipulative. On the other end of the scale, it could be because you don't want to be alone, because you're attached to your social group. But when there are people in your life who don't want the best for you, who you don't feel that you can grow with, who don't grow your corn, then it's time to revise who you let in. So anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you need to let go of. For now though, I hope you guys have a really good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you're in the world, and I'll see you guys all again for the next video.